Welcome everyone to our discussion on wellness in the home. Mike and Michael, can you guys talk to the intersection of AI and wellness in our home?
Well, so AI is affecting so many parts of the world. I mean, everything from business, and I spend a lot of time in this intersection between technology and design, and how AI is going to change maybe the way that buildings are being built, and way that design even happens. We're seeing that people are bringing AI-generated kind of images to a meeting with an interior designer and saying, I like one of these types of things, right? So clearly there's a lot that's going on in the industry. I think that the potential that it has in the home is to maybe allow for what essentially is, if you want to synchronize all these elements, lighting, temperature, humidity, right? And anyone that's got an engineering brain like I do, you think about all the systems on the back end, right? You have HVAC systems and humidification and lighting control, and can your lights do that? Do you have a heat pump system or forced air system that can adapt to that, and how well is it going to be able to adapt to that? There's a lot of engineering thinking that goes into that, and I think there is the potential, for AI to take information about how people live and allow some of that pathway to all of the specific things that need to change and work to help ease that path. That being said, I'm very skeptical in a way that is going to be that easy. Like, you're not going to sort of open up your iPhone one day and Apple Intelligence on iOS 19 will be able to just do these things. I mean, there is a lot of intention in terms of how these things need to be designed, how the software works. And unfortunately, I think we've seen as an industry that the idea is really good, that you can press a button and all these things will happen. But also the reality is that you really do need somebody, a human, to intentionally design these systems, and even if they're assisted by AI. So I've always sort of thought it's collaborative intelligence, which is really the next kind of phase.
Anything you want to add, Michael?
No, just to echo Mike, I think there's huge potential, there's huge dangers with AI, but when it comes to the health of the home, as I talked a bit before about the convergence of personal health technology and environmental wellness technology, I do believe that convergence, and AI is great at picking up patterns, and we already have the standards, so it's really about design, making sure that they're all interconnected seamlessly, but in the end, a home that kind of caters to our health. Because right now, it's on a very basic level. We know particulate should be as close to zero. CO2 should be like a certain ppm. But to put it all together holistically and have it work for you in a home environment, I do believe that it is going to come in the coming years, 5 to 10 years. But no one knows exactly where AI is going to take us, how quickly it's going to be. So it's just going to be interesting next 5, 10, 20 years, right?
I mean, I think one of the things that I've heard, when you buy a car, there's the one piece of paper, and we're all pretty programmed to understand what's on that piece of paper. There's obviously the price, there's obviously the features, there's also the miles per gallon, or the equivalent on EVs, right? And there's some certain things that are quite comparative, and we don't have anything like that for the home, right? And we talked about this earlier, HERS ratings, right? Means very little to very, very few people out there, right? And being able to understand, like, is it a healthy home or not a healthy home? I think the things like AI can take technologies, because you think about home building, it's very custom in a lot of ways. There's very few homes that are done the exact same way, even within the same complex the developer does. So if there's a way to sort of take air sensors and all of these disparate pieces of information and, in a way, qualify how healthy a home is or how it could be, in a way, if there's a way to like capture that in a miles per gallon, then I think suddenly people will have a certain value that they'll put on it, because you're not going to change your house buying on the basis of all of these disparate pieces of information. But if there is sort of indoor air quality, and then suddenly it starts to become part of the way of thinking, which will be a data-driven exercise to get there, and that's something that AI is very good at, is taking all of this data from all of these different sources and saying, healthy home or not healthy home. We'll see.
Thomas, you're passionate and well educated in this whole arena. How is it changing the way you and your firm designs homes?
Well, I like what you said, but it's interesting because it's all about the data input, right? So like it just gives you back what goes into it. So it searches the internet, and is that always a good thing? You know, and does it allow us to really evolve, which is our goal? Our goal is to push forward, not just regurgitate what we already know. So I think it's important. I think we need to use it in the right way. It's all about the data input, right? So like if we're taking data from our largest wearable, which is our home, and then feeding that into an AI model, or our individual wearables, or whether they're CGM or whether they're watches, or I think that's really important. And maybe that's connected to other parts of your lifestyle, right? And I don't know, but it needs to come from the right sources, all the data that goes into AI, and it's a little nerve-wracking to think about it, because if you put in the wrong data, you could get very wrong answers, just like we see with the design work that, you know, these AI imagery produces. But maybe it's creative in its own right, I guess.